I don't really care if this TikTok of mine gets taken down, this other TikTok page of mine gets taken down, or the live gets taken down. It's my burner account anyway, that I kind of just do whenever I'm like, just having fun. So anyways, Mr. Girl, we return yet again to the one, the only Mr. G, Mr. Girl. So he's recently made a new video called Transphobic Culture. Says, "Hi horses, I am going to explain to you the concept of transphobic culture and why it is a problem. Love, Mr. Girl." Mr. Girl has also come out as a pedo. Keep that in mind. He's come out as a pedo, and he says some very charged things in this video that are incredibly bad. Just incredibly freaking bad. Disgusting things. We're going to go ahead and look at it. Oh, shoot. I got to turn the volume up so you guys can hear it, because we do this bootleg style.
Latest studies show that cotton swabs are not good for your ears. There is even a warning on the box telling you not to put them in your ears. Instead, specialists recommend Fiedler, the world's first reusable earwax remover.
As a Jew, I face a lot of bigotry online. Some of it's very overt, some of it's subtle. Some of it is so subtle, we call it dog whistling. Because unless you're a dog or a Jew, you can't even hear it. When these creators make these anti-Semitic remarks about me, do I report them? Do I form a Twitter mob and demand they be silenced? No. I just say, "Oi!" And I can't even control being a Jew. Trust me, it is truly an immutable characteristic. I just wish I were normal. Now, am I...
What? I mean, I get that I guess that's a joke, but like, I don't think it... Here's another thing. His jokes don't really land. He's made multiple jokes before that I've heard, because I've also seen his video. I've also seen his debate with Vosh, of course. That's how really anybody knows of Mr. Girl, is his debate with Vosh for the most part. Like he made jokes in that debate as well, and like they just don't really land, and they're incredibly weird. They're incredibly weird jokes that don't land, and they seem very like outdated. Like his humor seems incredibly outdated, and it's very weird. It's very sus. Yeah.
Implying that being trans is voluntary? Well, for some people, yeah, it has to be. I mean, anyone can say they're trans, and then they are. Then they're part of the trans community, right? So-
No, that's not how it goes. Like, I mean, yeah, in a way, kinda. It's weird. So, like, you can say that you're trans and be part of the trans community, but, like, a lot of times people will do that just so they can get away with saying, transphobic shit. In many cases. So, no, it's not just that. Like, you have to, like, legitimately, like actually be a trans person. Like, you can't just say, "Oh, I identify as, like, not something that I was born as." And there are people that do that all the time just for the sake of being assholes to the trans community. This happens pretty often, actually.
So are you telling me that you think that 100% of trans-identifying people feel the same genuine conviction that they're really the opposite sex? Are we assuming that there's no piggybacking perverts or opportunists or teenagers experimenting or clout seekers or just confused people or people who just...
Okay, but like the majority, so like the people that say that do that kind of stuff, right? They're not trans is the thing. If they're doing it just to, go into bathrooms to like rape children, touch children or what have you, like they're only doing that. They're not actually trans. And they make the trans community look bad. Those are still like, cis people. They're not trans. Like, this kind of rhetoric is what's making the trans community look incredibly bad. Because trans people are not doing this. They're not. They're just not. I implore you to find me data that says that trans people are doing this shit. Please, find me data. Find data for me.
Think it would be fun to transition? There's no way to know who's real.
Who the fuck would think that it's fun? Like, if you don't understand, that's nothing. Okay, so like the majority of people that say shit like this, they don't know what it's like to be a trans person. I don't even know what it's like to be a trans person, but I don't say stupid shit like this. Like, nobody, it's not simple as, oh, let me just stick this needle in your arm. Oh, look, you have boobs and a vagina now. That's not how being trans goes. But these people want you to think that that's what it means to be trans. Transphobes want you to think that this is what it means to be a trans person. And that's just not it.
Really trans. But do we need to know who's really trans? No. But trans people have established themselves as a class of people who require extreme sensitivity and accommodation, and anyone can opt in. I could say that...
Well, it's mainly because trans people are being hunted by fucking Republican politicians that want them dead. That's mainly the reason why. They're being hunted by Republican politicians who want them dead. We need to be sensitive to these people. We need to be open and accommodating, and we need to listen to these people to ensure that this kind of shit to ensure that this shit fucking stops.
That I'm a trans lesbian right now in the middle of this video and not change anything about myself, and you would just have to accept it. Trans activist.
Well, no, because we already know that you're Mr. Girl, you've already dug yourself into a hole at the beginning of this video. We already know, just from the rhetoric that you've been using, just from the things that you've been saying, we already know that you're a transphobic piece of shit. We already know that. We already know that you're a fucking transphobe. We already know. We already know.
Activism is very attractive to people who want to play the role of outraged victim.
Yep. So he thinks that basically, if you're trans, and if you want to be transgender, you just want people to feel sorry for you, and you want to play, you have the victimhood mentality, is what it is.
And this dynamic hurts well-intentioned trans people, the good ones, if you will. Kind of the way that terrorism hurts Islam, or the way that my behavior hurts the Jewish people. In both my gender...
The way in which your behavior is hurting a good chunk of people.
...and Black Lives Matter narrative videos. I talked about how conservatives are kind of cruel with the way they set boundaries, and how progressives don't like to set boundaries at all.
No, we do like to set boundaries. It's just that we also like to tear them down. We like to tear down, we want to tear down, what's it called? Sorry, I'm also texting my sister-in-law while I'm watching this video, because she wants, never mind. she wants to buy weed off me. Anyways, derailed my train of thought. Thank you, Ruth. Oh! Hold on, let's just go back. Let's just fucking go back. Jesus fucking Christ.
About how conservatives are kind of cruel with the way they set boundaries, and how
oh yeah, the boundaries thing. So like we need to tear down, the leftists, progressives want to tear down things that are just harmful, that are things that are deemed as normal, but that are harmful to groups of people. That's what we want. We don't want to just not set boundaries. Progressives are all about setting boundaries. It's just that there's really stupid societal norms or societal boundaries that do need to be torn down.
Progressives don't like to set boundaries at all.
Because they're harmful to other people.
Well, I've come to set some cruelty-free boundaries.
So here's the thing about Mr. Girl. I'm sorry for pausing so much, okay? Mr. Girl tries to market himself as like a based centrist because he's a spineless piece of shit who doesn't want to admit that he's a far-right borderline neo-Nazi, okay? That's what he is. He just preaches so many neo-Nazi, white supremacist adjacent talking points. That's who he is. Because being anti-black, being anti-minority in general, being anti-marginalized group in general is just such a normalized thing within the white hegemony of America, which is the normalized hegemony in America. Mr. Girl is a piece of shit. He should not be entertained. He's an idiot.
Activism is overshadowed, but also propelled by the ever-present threat of suicide. This has to stop. It makes people who...
Why? Why does it have to stop? This is what I was talking about earlier, right? Like, just because, okay, just because you're mad that trans people exist doesn't mean they don't exist. I'm sorry, but it's the truth.
Who care about the well-being of trans people, such as myself, afraid to say what we're thinking, unless we're billionaires. It makes it so that the only people really willing to give any kind of pushback do so in the form of sociopathic mockery, because all that's left are the people who don't care. Suicide threats, vague or specific, should not be used to silence people. We should be...
They're not being used to silence people, and half the time it's not even the suicidal threats that we're talking about. Oftentimes we talk about the issues that are facing trans people. We're talking about people literally fucking murdering them for being trans. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about people literally murdering them for being trans. We're talking about people actively seeking out ways in which they can silence them because they just don't want to see them because they think trans people are yicky, or they think trans people are yucky. They think trans people are nasty. That's really all it is. That's all it fucking is.
Careful when we're talking about suicidality among trans people, or gender dysphoria among suicidal people. It should be recognized as a serious problem requiring serious attention, yes. But we've all been in enough abusive relationships to know that nothing good is going to come from, if Mr. Girl doesn't get banned, trans kids will die. It's coercive, and preys on liberal guilt. A similar problem is dubious claims about high murder rates. I have not seen and cannot find statistics to support the narrative that trans people should live in fear of being murdered by Nazis.
But Mr. Girl, there is data. Wasn't it like at like the beginning of last year, there were like within what was it, January or some shit? Like, I don't know what the statistic is now, but like, because I haven't looked at it in a while, but like, because I don't look up trans murder rate statistics just for fun and shit. But like, weren't there statistics that were showing that like there were black trans women that were already being murdered solely for the fact that they were trans?
Similarly, I take issue with straw man arguments such as trans people exist, trans people have a right to exist, you're trying to erase us, and so forth.
How are these straw man arguments? I don't get it. How are they straw man arguments? They're valid, good arguments. We say that trans people exist because people are trying to erase trans people's existence by passing legislation that makes it, you have to out your kid, or it's illegal to fucking teach about trans people or some shit, whatever the fuck, right? Or also we say that trans people are valid because because there are people out there that are saying that trans people are invalid. So what the fuck are you talking about? Mr. Girl is doing a lot of logical fallacies. I've noticed. Yeah, because again, Mr. Girl, deep down, is a fucking neo-Nazi. That's what he is. I believe it. I operate under a strict code of, and I've yet to really be wrong about this kind of shit, okay? If it looks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, if it talks like a duck, it's a fucking duck, okay? And the thing about people like Mr. Girl is that they preach far-right talking points while trying to pose as centrist because there are stupid neoliberals out there. They're like, oh, this person's not a far-right, shill or some shit. He said he's not a conservative. He said he says he's against Nazis and what have you. He can't be a Nazi. Yeah, people fucking lie, you fucking idiot. Like, my God. He's also, oh yeah, like there's a video. Like, I've been thinking of whether or not I should react to it, but I honestly don't want to give him because I know that Mr. Girl is sick in the head. And, like, I also do not buy the idea that Mr. Girl necessarily is, like, has, like, mental health issues. I really do think that he is choosing to be like this because he just wants to be this way. And because he wants to just make the world a better place, makes the world a worse place, because deep down, he's a horrible piece of garbage. That's just how he is. I don't buy the idea, okay, that everyone's a good person, a good or virtuous person, and that we just need to hear them out. That's neo-lib shit, okay? That is 100% neo-lib shit. I do 100% believe that there are people like that out there, but I also do believe that there are just some people out there that are just hell-bent on being as worse of a person as possible because of internet clout or because they just want to do this because they want to see the world burn and they want to hurt other fucking people.
When you receive pushback about your ideas or your proposals or demands,
it's not even
total...
Mr. Girl, it's not even pushback. It's people saying factually incorrect things that damage and hurt other marginalized groups and communities. And people like you who sit on the fucking internet and make videos like this. Like, why does this guy even... You know what? Never mind. I don't care. Like, I don't care about this guy's following or what have you. People like you that sit here and say stupid shit on the internet that hurt other people or that perpetuates ideas and ideologies that hurt other people. Oh, and don't get me wrong. Stay with me on this one. This video gets worse. It gets much worse.
Annihilation. You're just getting criticized. And while it is definitely easy...
You hear that? You hear that? When you lash out because you're a trans person and you have legitimate grievances as to why you should be afraid to walk down the street, and why you should be afraid of fear of experiencing harassment just for walking down the street and being obviously trans or obviously gay or what have you. The fact that like other people like you have ended up in ditches just because they're like you. Yeah, that's not according to Mr. Girl here, that's not a reasonable grievance. You don't have a reasonable claim. You don't have a valid claim or reasonable grievance as to why you should feel the way that you do. You're just being criticized. When you fear death because of the fact that there is legitimate data and there are legitimate reasons as to why trans youth should fear death. You're just being criticized. You know, you're just being criticized. You're overreacting.
Certainly tempting to guilt-trip liberals into feeling like they're committing genocide by criticizing minorities.
Listen. When I walk down the street, okay, I fear that I might get shot for being a black guy in a white neighborhood. I fear that because I'm holding the hand of a white woman, my fiance, that I could get shot for that shit. I fear that when I walk down the street, I fear this shit as a black man. I don't fear that this stuff is going to happen to me as a man. And I acknowledge that I have male privilege in this regard. I don't fear even though sexual assault of men does happen, I don't fear it when I walk down the street. And I understand that is a privilege that I, as a cis hetero man, have.
I don't think you should do so. Guilt and fear are the fuel of transl culture. But how does it work? It's kind of charming when your grandparents are racist at the dinner table. They're a product of their time. We all understand that. It's cute in a way.
That doesn't mean that they get to be racist. I don't buy the whole they're a product of their time. No, you need to stop being racist. You need to stop being a fucking bigot.
Not so with trans ideology. New theories about gender and accompanying demands are popping up every week, and if they sound good, we just run with it. With transl culture, you don't...
Welcome, first-time viewer, to Mr. Girl. Yes, he thinks it's cute.
Cross the line. The line crosses you.
Also, again, Mr. Girl is out as a pedophile. Like, he openly admits that he's a pedo.
It's a cult. Anybody who resists or even asks questions is a bigot who needs to be silenced.
Yes, because the questions are the incorrect questions are being asked. People aren't asking why trans people are dying or why trans people are committing suicide. They're asking why are trans people committing in women's sport or why are trans people competing in women's sports. They're asking why is it that I have to look at a trans person? These are the types of things that they're asking. They're not valid questions. Nobody's really asking any sort of valid questions of trans people. They're asking questions to deter from the fact and to distract from the fact that trans people are dying solely from the fact that they are fucking trans. Do you think Mr. Girl might just be a big troll and he wants all of this attention around him? He might, but that doesn't mean that he can't get an ass whooping. Listen, we handled trolling all wrong growing up, okay? our generation, this generation that grew up on the internet, we handled trolling all wrong. We thought that it was okay, that we let these people, get the upper hand by saying, ha, I'm going to laugh at you because you care too much about something, okay? And that's how the trolls got away with their trolling, because of the fact that we thought that it was okay, because we gave them the power. We said, okay, they're just a troll, I'm going to leave them alone because they're trolling. Now we can't do anything about these people, and they've been told that what they're doing is okay, or that, we should just ignore them. But the thing is, this kind of stuff, there's still people like myself and others who are going to take this seriously. People who are going to take this seriously from the opposite end. The people who are going to take this seriously and say, oh, it's okay for me to think this way. So, regardless of whether or not you're trolling, it does not abstain from the fact that what you're saying is harmful, and you're preaching harmful ideologies, and you're putting harmful ideologies out in the space that are going to lead to harmful actions. Period. You also heard me say a lot of base stuff. Well, you know what? You should stay for the base stuff. Yeah, and they're just voicing their opinion. And they always say, I'm just trolling, because there's truth behind their trolling. Okay? Ever notice how... the thing is, you can tell the difference between a good troll and a bad troll, okay? A good troll will have a good joke. Will have an actual good joke behind their trolling. They're not just gonna say something racist. They're gonna be somebody like Bo Burnham, right? They're gonna tie the racism into the joke, and it's gonna be very funny, and you can't help but laugh. But a bad troll is just gonna say something stupid like, hold on. Is just gonna say something stupid like, haha, 1350. Some of you might laugh, but that's some shit that I've gotten in my lives before, okay? 1350. Black people commit crimes because they're violent. They're naturally violent. Oh no, I'm just trolling, dude. I'm just trolling. What's the joke? Where is the joke? This is how you can determine whether or not somebody is being a troll and actually being a jokester, and someone perpetuating bigotry. You ask yourself, what is the joke? The joke in this case is just, I want to be able to be fucking racist. Oh yeah, the end of the Vosh Mr. Go debate was awful. And we might play some of that here today too. It was awful. It was absolutely fucking awful. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely fucking disgusting. But there are people that gravitated around Mr. Girl because Vosh platformed him. I'm not 100% saying this is Vosh's fault. And I'm not saying that I'm mad at Vosh for doing this. But because there's other people that have platformed Mr. Girl as well in worse ways by just trying to talk to him friendly like Stardust and others from what I've heard. And at first I wanted to get him on and I wanted to talk to him. And I'd still probably be open to it. Yeah, Destiny. And Destiny has a problem of talking to people like this and trying to overly humanize them. When they're just out here to perpetuate their bigotry. And this is something that the left... I uploaded a video to YouTube about this, okay? About how the left needs to stop making the bigotry of others its problem. And how we need to stop making it... We need to stop acting like it's up to us to stop these people's bigotry. Listen, the way in which politics has shifted over the past, 2 years... The drastic shift that we've had to the left in politics over the past 2 years. If you're still a member of the far right and you still hold far right talking points, that's a you problem. That is 100% a you problem. Especially when you think about things like, okay, would I want someone to treat somebody that I love this way? Would I want someone to treat me this way? Would I want someone to treat, just fill in the blanks, right? That's a you problem. These people are purposely, at this point, because they know their Nazism is not welcome openly in spaces, they're just trying to get on any platform they can to spew this shit to recruit more Nazis. That's all they're doing. They don't want to change their viewpoints and their opinions, which is why they say stupid shit that's been debunked time and time and time and time again. We have the fucking internet. There's so many videos out there you can watch of people debunking dumb shit like 1350. If you're still saying things like 1350, and yes, there are people that still like to say 1350. And you know what? We might look at that today too. Okay? Well, look, yeah, you know what? We'll look at that today too. We're going to go to Dylan Burns' channel and look at the Hippy Dippy podcast, one of his more recent ones that got a lot of views because of some bullshit, okay? Yeah, these people don't really want to change. And I don't want to change them. I don't give a fuck. If you want, I'm not saying you shouldn't debate people and debate people who disagree with you, but don't make it your job. Don't make it like your job to try to change these people. Offer your points and get the fuck out.
Trans ideology doesn't want to spread through enlightenment. It spreads through fear.
It doesn't spread through fear. It has tried to spread through enlightenment. And it still does spread through enlightenment. But the thing is, it's still rejected. For fuck's sake, when you have... You are automatically an invalid neo-Nazi when you make a point like this while there are literal Congress people. Literal Congress people who are passing legislation to shun and ostracize the LGBTQ plus community. Your argument, when you make this argument, is immediately invalid. You're a piece of shit. You're a piece of garbage. Instantly. And when trans people are also dying for being trans, that also completely invalidates your fucking shitty argument, by the way.
Ostracization. Destruction.
Because they tried being nice. Marginalized communities have been nice for so fucking long, but we still get pushback. We still get bigotry thrown at us. And we've been nice for so fucking long. So we're just fucking over it. We're not entertaining the bigotry anymore. We're fucking done. Because where has entertaining the bigotry gotten us? I'm not going to slow down the progress of society because you think you're the center of the fucking universe. Grow the fuck up, get over yourself, and either get with it or get out of the fucking way or get run over. Those are your options. I don't care. And this is coming from me, a cis hetero straight man. And you know why? Even though I say cis, I said hetero and straight. That's redundant. But do you know why I can think this way? Because I have fucking empathy for other people. It also comes from the idea of, oh, bad people do that. I'm not a bad person. I just like to changes and have a dark sense of humor without realizing how much manipulative thinking changes. Without realizing how much manipulative thinking changes when it gets called out. Yeah, exactly.
Trans cult does not pull on your heartstrings. It goes after your bank account. As liberal, modern people, Americans are very resistant to any sort of ideology or cult that spreads through overt force. But the trans ideology does spread through force. It should be a movement of love.
Because there's legislation that's being passed against them for just existing. They're being hunted just for fucking existing. They can act in force. This is what happens when you back a cat or a rat into a corner. If I were to get Natasha, my aggressive, bitchy calico cat, all right? That breed, that type of cat is known for being aggressive and being fucking bitchy, okay? And for lashing out at you and for basically being like, hey, this is my space, fucking respect it, or I will claw your nutsack off, okay? And I love her for it. She is a dignified lady, okay? As a matter of fact, where is she? Tosh! Natasha! She doesn't come when we call her. Even when her mom calls. Natasha comes when she fucking wants to. You know why? Because she's that bitch. Alright? She's also left better takes in her litter box than this motherfucker. Anyways. If I back Natasha into a corner... Oh, there she is. She did come when I called her. Look at you showing up. Come here. Want to say hi to chat? Want to say hi to chat? See what? She already doesn't like the fact that I'm picking her up right now. See? She's going to start clawing at me if I don't put her down. If I back Natasha into a corner... Yeah, Daddy loves you too. Daddy's gotta get back to work, okay? I mean, you wanna hop up in the chair? No, you don't? You just wanna sit at my feet? Okay, that's fine. Watch out, it's gonna hit you. Yeah, Daddy loves his kitty. One of my cats. Anyways. If I back her into a corner, or if I'm touching her, like, petting her and what have you, and she's over it, and she wants to be left alone, she'll claw at me. That's what happens when you keep fucking touching people when they don't want to be touched. When you keep poking people when they told you to stop. We've normalized bullying. We've normalized mistreating people. And saying, you're just soft. You need to grow a spine. You need to grow up. No, you know who's soft? The person who gets off from mistreating people. That person is soft.
And it could be. But right now it's a movement of community surveillance and terror. Ironically, the trans cult used...
Again, I'm a cis hetero man. I don't feel terrorized. I don't feel threatened by the trans community. How hard is it to just shut the fuck up and listen? This is why I hate free speech.
Uses the tools of fascism to define anyone...
Oh my god! These are the tools of fascism. Standing up for yourself when you're targeted all the time. For no other reason except for the fact that people think you're icky. Because you're different from what is perceived to be the norm.
As a fascist. If you don't join the trans cult, you're actually part of an anti-trans cult that's trying to kill all the trans people, like a fundamentalist religion. It's not sufficient to say, okay, you believe your thing and I'll believe my thing. There can only be one thing. Trans ideology seeks to eradicate and replace your innermost private thoughts about gender. Now, criticizing trans activism... There's a new soap. Can you smell it?
Sorry, there was a message in the Slider group chat, and now I have to answer this message. Somebody was like, I got a bone to pick with you, and I was like, holy shit. Hold on. I was like, no!
Is not the same as criticizing trans ideology. But, let's face it, a coercive echo chamber is not the ideal gender theory think tank. So here...
It's not an echo chamber to... It's not an echo chamber, okay? It's not an echo chamber to want to be away from people who dislike you. Yeah, I'm on my Xbox. I'm not recording on Xbox. I'm recording through OBS that I have patched through to my capture card. Like, I have an Xbox patched through to my capture card in OBS. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just really excited because my friends, who I didn't think really liked me all that much, are now talking about how they want to come to my wedding. So, I gotta hold on a second. Let me pause the recording real quick. No, don't stop. All right. Anyways. Let's get back to what we were talking about. Anyways, all right. Where were we? Okay.
A coercive echo chamber is not the ideal gender theory think tank.
Here's the problem that I have with the idea of an echo chamber, right? Conservatives are the only ones, and right-wingers in general are the only ones who ever bring up echo chambers, and it's usually because nobody wants to fucking talk to them. Because usually... they're anti-actual fucking people, okay? and they really just bring the entire vibe and mojo of the space down. Because when, I don't know if you guys have ever been in a space that has had a considerable conservative presence in it, or a mixed political presence in it. The conservatives are always the ones who are willing to literally debate the things that nobody else wants to debate about. Always wants to talk about and provide pushback to the things that nobody else wants to fucking talk about. So, sorry. That's why they're always the first ones. Conservatives and libs are getting to be this way too. They'll go, "You're living in an echo chamber." It's like, I'm sorry if I don't want to fucking debate my rights with you and debate the fact that I debate my fucking existence with you. I don't have to. Fucking asshole. It's not an echo chamber. It's not being a part of an echo chamber to not want to validate your existence every 5 fucking seconds. I'm sorry. Also, echo chambers just naturally occur as people, as people with like-minded mentalities congregate and form. They just happen.
So here are some official Mr. Girl stances, which have all been labeled as transphobic to varying degrees. Not telling your sex partner your genitals is rape. I've seen some people make the argument that, like, well, if I'm a trans woman, then I am a woman, so why should I have to say anything? We've all agreed that trans women...
I fail to see how this is rape. Okay, it would be assault, right? If you are, let's say you're doing the deed with somebody, right? You're doing the deed, and then they whip out a penis, but you expected a vagina, right? And you say, "Hey, I'm good. I don't like dick. Sorry." And they continue to proceed despite the fact that you said that you don't want it. That is rape. Because you said no. You actively said no when you were clear about it. If someone doesn't agree with them and it's attack on them, but if they disagree with someone else, it's friendly pushback. Yeah, literally. That's how conservatives are, like 9 times out of 10. Not all of them, but a good majority. So, what happens is, sorry, I lost my train of thought because I'm still so excited that some of my friends want to come to my wedding. Sorry, I suffer from rejection sensitivity, dysphoria. You could tell me that you love me like 10,000 times, and I'll still need reassurance. Yeah, it's not rape. It's not rape. Also, literally, a penis and a vagina are practically the same thing anyway. They're practically the same thing, just in different shapes. A vagina is an inside penis. Like, do you guys? How do you think how do you think your dick goes inside of a woman? It would have to be the shape of the dick to fit the dick, right? The transphobia is just open. It's just out there for everybody to see. I'm sorry.
And are women, your logic is sound, but the answer is that when people say trans women are women, they are lying to you. They are doing this to be nice. You'll find that when push comes to shove, like on a swim team, or in a locker room, or in the bedroom, people are more honest. In the same
It's not that they're not women. It's not that he's saying, what he's saying is, you know deep down that this person isn't a real woman, right? That's what he's saying. He's saying that you don't. He's saying that you don't think that this person is a real that you don't think this person is a real woman, do you? It's not an argument. And of course, he also brings up like the swim team and all this other kind of shit. He's just bringing up more things to justify his transphobia. That's what he's doing. He's just being transphobic. That's what he's doing. He's being transphobic. That's it. He's just being transphobic. Like, literally, there's not even any sort of, like, and when he brings up the swim team and everything, there's not even any sort of, like, data that shows that, like, trans men, sorry, not trans men, yeah, you know what there is data of? There's data of trans men kicking cis men's asses in sports. There is some data about that. There is data of trans men, people that are female to male, that have won some men's competitions. Where's all the outrage about that, conservatives? It's because they don't care about that. That's not the narrative they're trying to push. They don't care about trans men. They literally don't care about it. And because it also debunks their fucking arguments. Meanwhile, there are not as many trans women, male to female, that are decking in women's sports or that are shattering records in women's sports. Yeah, the ultimate jealousy, that's what it is. These people are just being they're just being transphobic. That's all it is. That's literally the only argument you fucking need.
Vain, trans women should not compete in women's sports. I've seen the counter argument, well, who cares about sports? People who play and watch sports.
Okay, but like people who play it, let's be honest here. Sorry, but who gave a fuck about swimming? Who gave a fuck about it before trans people participated in sports? Who gave a fuck about it? Honestly, if it's not football, basketball, or baseball, who gives a fuck about it? Nobody. The same people that are all of a sudden acting as though like they're women's sports extraordinaires were also making fun of women's sports and degrading them and just talking about the uniforms and shit. You motherfuckers don't give a shit about women's sports. You just hate trans people. Like, sorry, but it's fucking true.
Just admit you're too much of a pussy to address the issue. J.K. Rowling is not...
I'm not too much of a pussy to address the issue. I'm tired of fucking addressing the issue.
...transphobic. She can be smug, she can be annoying or passive-aggressive.
Hold on, that was important. Let's roll that back.
Sports. Just admit you're too much of a pussy to address the issue. J.K. Rowling is not transphobic. She can be smug, she can be annoying or passive-aggressive.
Did you hear that? The ultimate take of the century, everybody. J.K. Rowling. The ultimate TERF. Like, the final boss of all the TERFs. Is not transphobic. Yeah, women's sports was literally... Yeah, you're right, Poop. Women's sports was literally the punchline of every conservative joke way back when. Now, all of a sudden, they give a fuck about it? This is the shit you need to miss me with. Yeah, he believes that J.K. Rowling is not transphobic. I wouldn't be surprised if he were to back Putin next. I mean, Putin was like, I'm being cancelled like J.K. Rowling.
Mostly she just disagrees with you, and she's really rich, so the bank account trick doesn't work on her. And lastly,
no.
Don't say gay bill is fine.
No, the thing about J.K. Rowling is that J.K. Rowling broke the hearts of people because she was talking about... Remember, people liked her because they thought she was a feminist. They thought she was like this progressive person. And she wrote these books that so many people like related to and were also like... So many kids our age, way back when, related to. And like, you know, it was about like escaping real life and going to like this fantasy world and everything. And then we find out that she's a transphobic, bigoted bitch. in many cases, I mean, and what he's saying right now, completely. Where's Natasha? Okay, she's not behind me. Good. All right. In many cases, rhetoric like this spits on the heartbreak that so many people experienced and so many people felt when J.K. Rowling came out as transphobic. This spits on that. People were heartbroken. Paige is a huge Harry Potter fan. Huge. When she found out that J.K. Rowling was a transphobe, that really hurt her. Was the ending of Ace Ventura a giant trans joke? I don't remember. I haven't seen those movies in so fucking long, dude. But I wouldn't doubt it though. There have been so many like trans jokes throughout cartoon movie history. So many fucking trans jokes. He just spat on people that, like, there were people whose worlds were rocked by this shit, because Harry Potter is insanely popular. It's a cultural icon, practically. And when the creator of that comes out as transphobic, dude,
it's clearly more of a don't say trans bill, but the part that people take issue with says classroom instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3. So why is this in the bill? Well, it's because conservatives don't trust you not to brainwash their daughters.
But he literally says that, like, it's more of an anti-trans bill, which is what everybody's been saying. Like, dude, what? Whose mans is this? Like, I'm sorry, but, like, it's also not that. He's being disingenuous here. That's not all there is to it. People are also mad at the fact that the bill is so vague, so it can be interpreted in any way that it can be interpreted in any way. I don't want straight, obsessed parents suing school boards, and I also don't want counter lawsuits from gay parents and gay people suing school boards just out of spite for teaching heteronormativity. I don't want either of that. I want to just deconstruct heteronormativity instead, without having so much fucking conflict about it, because it's stupid anyway. Heteronormativity is so fucking stupid anyway. Don't make me suck dick out of spite. Don't make me. Don't make me.
Into thinking that they're boys if they play with trucks. Is this a reasonable fear?
No one thinks that a girl is a boy just because she's playing with a fucking truck. I remember girls played with trucks when I was a kid, and I'm 25. It's not that fucking simple, you idiot. You fucking mongrel. You fucking psychopathic, pedophilic mongrel.
Here? Yes. Absolutely. Would you trust conservatives not to brainwash your kids into being Christians if they could at school?
Okay, but like, I can teach, I can unlearn, I can rip the Christian out of my kid if I want to. And technically, I don't even think you can do that. You can't really rip anything out of anybody. So let me walk back on that. You can't rip anything out of anybody, really. But at the same time, you don't teach kids to be trans in schools. It's not what happens. Really, all that happens is that all that would happen is like, hey, this is how gender works. Some of y'all might experience later on down the road that you're straight. Some of you might experience that you're gay. Some of you might experience that you're bi, pan. Some of you might experience that you're trans, whatever, and that's all completely fine, and then they just end it there. Also, another thing I want to point out is that this doesn't surprise me when coming from Mr. Girl, because don't forget, Mr. Girl is a pedophile. So, like, he's an open pedophile. And if anything was, and if there was anything that was the nail in the coffin, that this fucker is an open pedophile, it's this right here. Because conservatives and people who are anti the, or who are pro the don't say gay bill, something that's true about these people is that that are anti-sex education, comprehensive sex education, that they're anti-comprehensive sex education because that way they can further touch children. They can further be pedophilic to children and get away with it. As a matter of fact, you know what? Oh, fuck, I gotta sign in, don't I? Hold on. I gotta sign in. Which email should I sign in with? Should I sign in with my main one? Yeah, we're gonna sign in with Nani Monty. You know what? Hold on. I don't want y'all to see my shit. Alright, we're back. Don't worry, I see your comment. We'll get to that comment in a minute. Hold on, I see it. Pedos. Is that how you spell genitalia? I hope it is. I hope it is. Pedos like you are against comprehensive sex ed because it makes it easier. It makes it harder for you all to touch children when they aren't. Wait, no. It makes it easier for you all to touch. Easier for you all to touch children when they aren't educated on their on their genitalia. Should I type in? Should I also type in? You probably love cookies, don't you? Or is that bad? Should I type that or is that bad? I feel like that's bad. I don't know. That makes me uncomfy to type that, even though it's probably true. You know, even though it's probably true. When they aren't educated on their no, not verbatim. I don't think that's the right word. I'm going to say 100%. Alright, so, pedos like you are against comprehensive sex ed because it makes it easier for you all. I just farted a lot. I'm sorry. It's because Mr. Girl shit, that's why. Pedos like you are against comprehensive sex ed because it makes it easier for you all to touch children when they aren't educated on their bodies and boundaries. You've admitted you're a pedo, and this video proves that 100%. Yep. Oh god, my sister-in-law's on her way. Fuck. Oh god. Oh god. I might have to take a break here in a minute. But don't worry, we'll be back. We're gonna finish this video and then we're gonna take a quick little break. Because we also have to look at Tyler Blutman's rap, don't we? Yeah, we have to look at that shit too. You've admitted you're a pedo, and this video proves that 100%. Yeah, okay. That's the comment. You guys should go like the comment. What? An incredibly eloquent description of feelings I have as a trans person about those around me. Love it always. Are you serious? Notice how a lot of these profile pictures are like, how do I explain it? These profile pictures are from people. I mean, are people's profile pictures. Like, they're kind of trolly kind of sort of profile pictures that are kind of like, it doesn't look like these people are like real people, but I'm pretty sure they are real people. Where were we? We were around.
Her argument. Well, who cares about sports?
Your body's only healthy
Why?
when hormones are balanced, and that's why
No!
guys suffer from low T.
Stop it.
Sports. Just admit you're too much of a pussy to address the issue. J.K. Rowling is not transphobic. She can be smug, she can be annoying or passive-aggressive. Mostly she just disagrees with you, and she's really rich, so the bank account trick doesn't work on her.
Also, with this, it's not that J.K. Rowling is really rich. We're not jealous of her. We just wish she would stop saying things that eventually become like the foundation or are referenced in anti-trans legislation. I don't actually believe that Mr. Girl ever does any sort of research besides confirmation bias. When he like wants a point, he wants to push that point, he looks up that kind of research. Because I saw part of his Black Lives Matter narrative video, but I'm not going to watch the entire thing. I don't feel like going over that today because I don't think we have enough time, and also like I want to do other things today. And it's a stupid video and it's over an hour long, and I don't feel like doing that. And I don't want to put you guys through that. Maybe another day, maybe tomorrow or something. I don't know. Because we are going to be streaming tomorrow too. But yeah. No, the whole bank account thing, we're not against her because she's rich. We're against her because she has fucking influence, and she actively shits on trans people.
And lastly, the don't say gay bill is fine. It's clearly more of a don't say trans bill, but the part that people take issue with
So he's okay with it being anti-trans.
Says classroom instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3. So why is this in the bill? Well, it's because conservatives don't trust you not to brainwash their daughters into thinking that they're boys if they play with trucks. Is this a reasonable fear? Yes, absolutely. Would you trust conservatives not to brainwash your kids into being Christians if they could at school? No. So, liberals, I think it's time to stop scratching your head and pretending not to understand that there's a huge schism around the topic of gender in this country. And from a conservative's perspective,
it's only a schism because of homophobia and transphobia, and from people who bear these resentments and these ideas. That's the only reason and the only way in which it's a schism. It wouldn't be otherwise. That's the truth.
You want to convince little boys to take hormones and cut their dicks off. And given that
literally nobody wants to do that. Oh my god. They always say this. This is PragerU tier shit video, right? Like, this is some PragerU tier shit. A lot of these TERFs will also wait until they made a shit ton of money before they start showing they are against a majority of their audiences very facts. True. That is the thing. That is true.
That is their perspective. I think asking you to wait until the kids are 9 to start this tug of war is actually pretty reasonable. And I don't think the bill is homophobic either.
Nobody's even, all we're doing is we're telling kids that, hey, these people exist. If you have no problem, which a lot of these people fucking don't, they don't have a problem with teaching kids heteronormativity. They don't have a problem with that. Because it's just something our society has tolerated for so fucking long. Even though that shit is pretty fucking creepy. But they haven't had a problem with that all these fucking years. But then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, we should teach kids about like trans and gay people as well. All of a sudden, these people have a problem. Yeah, and then like circumcision and shit. And the fact that the whole reason why we circumcise kids is because of Christian bullshit. And how we think that like if we circumcise kids, it'll make them less likely to masturbate and less likely to be prone to sin or some stupid shit.
Say I have an 8-year-old kid. And the kid says to their teacher, hey, I think I might be gay. The teacher says, oh, well, talk to your parents about that, or we can talk about it next year. That's fine. The real reason...
It's not even that simple, dude. It's not like the kid pops up and says, I'm gay. What happens is, and I know this because I have my partner works in childcare. What happens is, oftentimes, you notice that a child in many cases, you notice this with boys, I feel like, because boys are bound to a more rigid code of what is a more rigid gender code, I feel like, than girls are more than not. Does anybody else see what I'm talking about? Does anybody else agree with me on this one? Because I felt growing up that as a dude, as a kid, I was bound to a more rigid gender code growing up. Like, why is it that girls can wear pants, but I, as a dude, it's a problem when I wear anything long and flowy, or when I want to wear anything long and flowy. All of a sudden, that's a problem. I can't do that. But a woman can put on my pants? What? That's not fair. Like, bro, that's not fucking fair. Does anybody else not know what I'm talking about? Anybody else feel that shit? Because I did growing up. I thought that shit was unfair. That they can, like, you know, I still don't think that's fair. But I don't want to wear dresses, though. Like, I don't like dresses. I don't like that I like to cover up a lot more. I don't like anything that lets I don't even like wearing tank tops, honestly. Like any like tank tops with low cut tank tops. I don't like those. I really don't like those. I don't like to leave my shirt unbuttoned. I like to cover up as much as possible. That's just me. That's just what I feel comfortable in. That's fine. But I just thought it was funny how I just always thought like it was funny. It's from a societal spectrum. From a societal perspective, it's like, oh, so like as a dude, like I can't wear dresses. It's a problem. But like when a girl wears pants, that's not a problem. Boy, bye. And that's the shit we need to be talking about. But nobody wants to talk about that shit. Except for intersectional feminists. Only motherfuckers want to talk about that shit. Even dudes don't want to talk about that shit. Because many times dudes are like anti-feminist, and they fall into the fucking binary traps anyway. Yeah, and then when they tend to want to wear pants a lot, they're a fucking tomboy. Maybe it's because also dresses are like kinda impractical. All I'm saying is that the wind fucking owns you when you wear a dress. It doesn't own you when you wear fucking pants. Hey, did I say something wrong? Did I say something wrong? Sue me. Okay? Anyway, anyways, but what often happens, and Paige has told me stories of this, okay? Of this type of shit, right? Where like there will be a kid in the class, in one of her classes, one of the boys wants to do more girly things. And then you know what the funny part about that is? That doesn't even necessarily mean that that kid's gonna be trans. It doesn't even necessarily mean that that kid's gonna be gay. In many cases, that kid might be straight. And in many cases, because of the fact that that kid, and there are some kids like that too, where like, I'm gonna do the girl shit because like I'm straight as fuck, and that's gonna get me closer to the girls. Hey, player, do you? Do you? Out here playing 4D chess. Do you? But there are some kids, though, who might grow up and understand that, hey, I'm not a... But they don't... No one's teaching them that as, like, when they're young and saying, hey, you're going to be trans, you're going to be gay, you're going to be straight, you're going to be... Brenda, you seem like you're ace. Be ace. Like, nobody's doing that! But what happens is, like, teachers, like, feel early on, like, oh, yeah, this kid might grow up a little differently. Or what is perceived different from the norm. And that's fine. Just let kids explore. What's wrong with that?
The reason liberals hate this bill is it suggests that trans ideology may not be the settled, accepted, ultimate scientific truth, but just another religion.
How? Bro, how?
Which it is. In closing, I just want to say, I don't blame trans people for this. We're all complicit. We're all enabling it. So wherever you stand, I want us to be empathetic.
No, I'm not going to be empathetic to phobic people. I'm not. I'm not going to be empathetic to phobes. I'm not going to be empathetic to them. It literally costs you nothing to be a fucking dick. It literally costs you nothing to do research and look up and see that, hey, no trans person or gay person is really trying to rape my child. No, especially not trans people. Like, they just want to fucking exist. Jesus Christ. Can't stand people like this.